So I'll record. And so this is one of the books that I would really recommend that you look at. And I will return it, and I will add a assignment, kind of a follow-up assignment that talks about Google Classroom, or not Google Classroom, but the Ty Reads resources for you guys, so you can pop in. So her book is really great, but when you go in and start looking at it, she talks about, the setup, which is she's got some really great ideas in terms of login cards. You'll see she uses this like colored tape on each of the rows, and so then helps the kids see, like the red is all the numbers and the yellow is the that row, and so it pulls in. And she actually has a template in the book that you can use. So I'm going to keep scrolling. I mean, so she talks about technology integration and, stuff like that, and using the, and then she talks about, seating and collaborating and stuff like that, which is awesome. But I really want to talk about your class, because she talks about things like, choosing a simple class title, because so they can find it, and then she talks about so her and Alice Keeler wrote this book together, and Alice Keeler really talks about using the hashtags, and just going chronologically throughout the year, and she said even for littles, because they can recognize that formula, and and it's something that you can point out easily. It's also really much easier for you to search, and keeps everything organized. So there was that. She talked about, putting free, and this book is old enough that they talk about the About tab, and they don't have an About tab anymore. We just have Classroom, and and so when you're reading some of these older books, they've got great information, but some of it, it's like, wait, where do I find that?
Right. Some of the old stuff could be pre-COVID right now, is what I've found with a lot of things, even just websites to look at of other teachers. It's interesting how it's changed. So we'll just keep learning.
Oh, I know. So here is something that, so this was really interesting in terms of topics that she put together. She did things like this, so to apply topics that make sense to her students. Okay, so she didn't do it in time order. She just did the stuff that makes sense to her students. Alice Keeler, let's see, she goes on and talks about other things. And then the other thing that I really loved about what this book talks about, especially in light of COVID and needing to make sure that our students, kind of bringing our parents into the fold, they put a parent corner in the description. And so I think in some of the stuff that we looked at yesterday, you had a parent corner in some of that, but it was so cool because it gives a reflection question. So if the parents are doing stuff with them, there's also that reflection question that the students can use. And so I thought that was kind of cool. So those were the topics that she recommended, just, stuff that makes sense. And let me see, because I found something else too the other night that was like, oh, here's a list of topics. Because Alice Keeler is more, Alice Keeler really likes you to kind of be, I don't want to say structural, but she's more, she's organized differently, and it's okay. I mean, she's got good stuff too. I'm not dissing her stuff, but it's just they have a different topic.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like I have to find what's going to work for me, but I feel like I kind of need help to get it organized, so I'm not kicking myself for doing it one way, thinking it sounds great, and then in reality, it's silly. So hopefully this will help.
Oh, well, and so this is Alice Keeler's newest book, and it's also in Thai reads. You probably have it on hold too. Um, I also have it
I
checked out.
Oh, that could be because I think I can have maximum of 3 holds. There's just a lot of stuff in there, not even just with Google, but I kind of forgot about it. So kind of a cool resource too.
Oh, it is. It's so good. So she goes through and talks about topics, and what I liked about her was she does things like responding to feedback. And so she'll change, like if she gives you feedback, she'll change actually where the assignment goes, so that the kids have to go there and look at feedback. She has a today, and then about, or that would be my materials in this course, and then units. She also does weeks, so she really feels strongly about the respond to feedback, because if you put stuff in that, then the students will actually have to go back and look at what you've talked to what you've given them, rather than the here's your grade and you're done type of thing. And I think that's pretty much it that she has for classroom topics. So that's what she says. But it is hard to try to kind of figure out how you want your stuff to be organized, and that does make a difference. And but it's not the end of the world. And the other thing is you can change, it's semester, at Christmas time, if you have to, kind of thing. You could change things up, or or
Mhm.
or just stop using some topics, move, say we're gonna, morning meeting isn't working for us, but really we need days of the week. You know what I mean? And so maybe we just need it to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I mean, that's how we're going to do it. Maybe that's how they need to think about it.
Right.
And so you can change that. It's not, and you can edit your topics. And so it's not like you're stuck on a topic. You can edit them at any time. So that too might be.
I just feel like I would like.
Uh-oh, you fell off. All right, well, I'll keep recording in case she comes back, because we could talk about topics all day. Casey Bell actually does quite a bit of cool stuff with her topics too. And so we'll look at that also, just so that it's in the recording and you guys have it. So she comes up, she talks about organizing in modules or units, organizing by week, organizing by type of assignment. And so, this could be useful if your students understand this type of work. You could go in organizing by subject area. And this she talks about, she says this is best for elementary. And so your language arts, your math, your science, your social studies, adding a today topic, so that those are the things that you would manually move each item you want students to focus on that day, and then move the today topic to the top of the page. And then you can also organize by learning target. So you have a number of different options. So I will add kind of a note in terms of like how to structure your classroom, and put this in those two books in, so you guys have those. I'll add those as an assignment. So all right, other questions or thoughts? Jennifer's rejoined us. Jennifer, yay, I found another set of examples. I talked it through, so it's in the recording for you. So other thoughts or questions? I'm glad you're asking about how to organize, because I think this is definitely something that's really good to think about. Michelle, do you have any questions, thoughts? Do you want to share something?
Oh, I'm just here to listen. See if I can pick some things up.
You guys are so funny. You have to ask me a question because I won't know what to talk about. That's no worries, Jennifer. I get it. But I will add those 2 books. I'm going to show you guys Ty reads then, since that way it's in the office hours and you guys can see that. So Ty has put together a overdrive collection that's available to staff of Ty member districts, which you guys are. And one of the things you can do is you can check out either audiobooks or ebooks. And so we have, it's all professional type books. So it's not, you're not going to find the latest and greatest fiction book that you're looking for. But we do have lots of collections put together for all sorts of different teaching needs that you may have. So we have the Harry Potter Read at Home is available in case you need that. But coding and maker spaces, growth mindset, project-based learning, differentiation, the Woolakota collection, social emotional, brain research, talking about race. So lots of different topics that have different lots of titles in them that support. Some of the really popular ones right now have been the Google topics, because a lot of people are working on adding Google to their classroom. And so we have a really great teaching math with Google Apps, and that's by Alice Keeler, and she's one I've talked a lot about today. The Stepping Up to Google Classroom is also by Alice Keeler, and that one is that second one we were just looking at, and that is brand new. She just published it like a month ago or so. The Google Apps for Littles is written by Christine Pinto, who we looked at some of her resources yesterday, and Alice Keeler. And I went through that book a week or so ago, and it's got some really great ideas and resources. And then we also have 50 things you can do with Google Classroom, and then 50 more things you can do with Google Classroom. And so those are also by Alice Keeler. They are a little dated, but I mean, and they're dated in the sense that if you're trying to follow along instructions, kind of like when we were looking at the, I think it was the Christine Pinto book where she was talking about, using the about to put information in. There is no about anymore. You just have the classwork, you have the stream, and you have the people. And that's okay. I mean, you just need to kind of, don't panic, I guess is what I'm going to tell you. If one of these books looks a little different, don't panic. Look at the publication date and say, oh, okay, that's why. Some of the other cool things is we do have awesome audiobooks. And so if they have the headphones, they're audiobooks. And so we do have a lot of audiobooks in our collection too, which is nice if you're looking for stuff to listen to while you're driving or mowing or all those kinds of things. As Jennifer noted, you can place these books on hold. And so if you do want to place a book on hold, just place it on hold, and then you'll get a notification when it does become available. So I will, I can drop in the chat right now. I'll drop how to sign up. And then I will also put that in your classroom so that you have it for everybody. So here's how you sign up. And it is just so fun because there's just a lot of really good content in here.
By the time I got done browsing through it, I felt like it was my Amazon cart with a bunch of wish list items.
Isn't that the best?
And it's free. That was even the better part of it.
that is so much better. Yes. And you can filter I'm going to go by subject, and I'm just going to do nonfiction because pretty much everything is nonfiction in here. But then once you've done that, you can go in and show just the audiobooks. And so if we click on that, now you can just see the audiobooks. And so like if you are looking for audiobooks, if they're grayed out, it means that you have to place a hold, but if they're not grayed out, they're available and you can listen to them right now. So, and the audiobooks, it's kind of cool how popular the audiobooks are. The other nice thing about these books is you can listen to almost all of them in your browser or read them in your browser. And so as long as they say overdrive listen or overdrive read, you can listen and read, listen to them and read them in your browser. So you don't need to download anything. So that's kind of cool too. Let's see. So what other cool googly things can we talk about? So Michelle, do you have any questions about setting up your classroom? Will you and Jennifer kind of, do you guys work together on your classrooms?
Yeah, there's 4 of us, well, 5 of us, including our special ed person. So there'll be 5 of us that when we were in our breakout session today, we were having a mini therapy session of how to help each other already. So.
Oh, good, good. I am so glad. That's awesome.
That's kind of an important piece.
Well, it is if you can work together. I mean, and the other nice thing about this, and so like one of my coworkers and I actually we're both doing quite a bit of Google Classroom training, and so I was telling her kind of some of the cool things that you guys were doing, and we decided we created a Sandbox course. And so we have our Google Classroom Sandbox where we're both the teachers in it. And so now we'll be able to, put, different units and lessons and stuff in there, and then be able to pull them in and customize them for other trainings that we do about Google Classroom. So we're really excited about that, to be able to kind of work together and collaborate. So by putting it in the classroom and having us both be the teacher, then it's all organized. We can go in by topic or, however we want to access those resources, and then being able to reuse the assignments, because any assignment that is in any of the classes that I'm a teacher in, I can reuse. And so that makes it super awesome. So we're excited.
I would say I tried setting up a pretend classroom and added all 5 of us as a teacher. So a Sandbox is just like a space to work, like the play around space, right? I mean, yeah. I remember hearing the term before, but because Michelle, I don't know if you got an email, but I added all of us as teachers to it to just be like, well, here's the space. And then even thinking if we are shoved online at a distance, like this spring, one of our teachers was really good at videoing herself reading aloud. She's a fabulous reader. I'm like, well, she could do the videos and we could put it in there, but all 4 of our classrooms could use them and not have to worry about everybody doing the same thing, because she was great at that.
Exactly. I mean, and like yesterday, I think yesterday somebody shared the really great like that how to access Google Classroom for students. That's awesome, because now you guys all have that how to access Google Classroom for students, and you can make a copy of it, you can edit it, and so this is something that you can take and use. And so that having that kind of platform to collaborate, it's also really nice, like Tammy, for staff meetings and stuff like that, because you can organize it and have the conversation and the information all in one spot, so people don't have to look all over, especially if you go distance again. It'll be nice.
I think that's where my mind keeps going, of like, how am I going to introduce this if we're on site this fall like we're planning? I think that it's all taught quickly. So if like day 10, we're back to March 13th, that we can go, no problem. Here you go, people. We know what we're doing. Because right now I don't yet know what I'm doing.
And Jen,
working
so
on
you're aware too, our anticipation and hope is to start on site this fall. And the only reason we wouldn't be able to do that, I think, is if the Department of Health or the Department of Ed would come back and state for some reason we're not able to.
Right. I keep going, okay, I'm just going to go with it's going to be normal. But I'm going to have this all ready to roll to be like, ta-da!
Right, because we know that throughout the course of the year, it is likely that there may be minor shutdowns throughout the course of the year, or even to have the Google Classroom set up and teach your students how to use it. If students get sick, or if we would have snow days or some of those normal things, the students still have access to the materials.
Absolutely. Our first grade team kind of talked about that this morning. I said, here's the thing. It's just like in first grade, we're teaching them letters and numbers and very basic skills, even these technology skills. When they're talking in fourth, fifth, middle school, high school, if we can continue building that technology consistency for them, that will be helpful for them, that they're not spending time. They'll have been clicking on things and posting things since they were in kindergarten.
You know, and that's one of the things that Christine talks about in her book, is that by, she's like, of course the kids can do this, I mean, and really we're teaching them how to use stuff with purpose. They've been doing, they've been playing with their parents' phones probably forever, and so it's one of those things that with purpose they can do this, and how can we make it, more efficient for them. The nice thing is once they've logged into Google Classroom, they've logged into Google, and so there, you now have access to all of those Google resources. And so that's where, if you guys are thinking about, oh, this is really cool and shiny, or this is really cool and shiny, try to keep as much as you can in the Google realm, because then their username, they will not have to think about that login as much. It'll be a lot more seamless. So here is the whole post on Christine's, how she does the login cards, and she uses, and she has a sample that you can use, and so it's something you can make, and it's super cool because she uses conditional formatting, and so basically as you drop it in, it will, you can make a login card for your kids. But everything I've read about working with the littles is that practice, that logging in, and letting them log in. And it's so hard for me to watch a little kid struggle and say, no, you can do it, oh, ask your friend before you ask me. And it's like, you just want to say, oh, here, I'll just do that. But if we can get them past that, it's so much better. And then they'll be proficient, and it'll be super fun.
And there's usually a couple resident first graders that are like the tech go-to students that run around, I'll help them. So that you usually key into them right away.
And that is something else that when you're thinking about, like coming up with your processes, when I've been working in one of the districts I work with they use a lot of technology. They do a lot of blended, so the students are doing independent work while the teacher's working with a small group type of thing. And I was in a kindergarten room, and they call them SOPs, or standard operating practices. And so I was in a kindergarten room, and kindergartners and I was a visitor, and so they were all like fascinated. But then they were also just logging into their iPads to go into, they used Empower, the learning management system Empower. And the principal was there with us, and this one little guy was having problems logging into Empower, and he goes up to the principal and he's like, hey, I can't log in. And she's like, what's your SOP? And I'm like, what'd she just say to that little kid? And then I realized, you know, what's your standard operating procedure? And the really cool thing was he didn't get frustrated. He was just like, okay, this is what we do. We try, and if it doesn't work, we try it again. And then we, you know, do this, or we go look at the steps to make sure we're following them right. And, you know, he just went through like 4 different options, really, you know, boom, boom, boom. And if I can't get it to work, then I need to move on to something else and ask the teacher later. And I'm like, huh. I mean, so it was like he had a whole process to follow. So it wasn't, you know, he wasn't sitting there like, I can't log in and I've just stopped. But one of it was ask the tech expert at my table. And so it was really cool. And it was really nice to see them take that ownership, and it really meant that the teacher was able to work with a small group of students and actually have a really positive working group over there too. So it was fun. Yes, it is. It's Harry Wong, totally in. It's a Harry Wong classroom procedure, but it's that, you know, you were just applying it a little bit differently. All right, you guys are so quiet. I'll talk about other things. I just need a something to talk about.